All right, let's get the state of play in KwaZulu-Natal with regards to the unrest in the country. We're giving you various perspectives of what's happening on the ground. Reginald Witbooi is live for us in Phoenix in KwaZulu-Natal. It's one of the areas that were heavily impacted by violence and looting. We saw tension as well among the citizens there. Reginald Witbooi, a very good morning to you. What are you witnessing there this morning?
Hi, a very good morning to you, Blaine. Yes, we are here in Phoenix, where the police minister, Becky Cele, revisiting the Phoenix area, because you will remember that this follows the ongoing unrest and racial tension in the area, and the minister promised that he will revisit this area, and he was supposed to come back to this community yesterday, but that was overtaken by President Cyril Ramaphosa's visit to KwaZulu-Natal. This past week we saw mayhem in KwaZulu-Natal and also Gauteng, but we have arrived in one of the areas now. The minister will be doing a walkabout. Also, the South African National Defence Force was also promised to patrol the area, and 25,000 of them actually being deployed. So we'll do a walkabout with the minister, and then after that he will be addressing the media as speaking to us on the interim committee that he promised that will be set up, and how they will manage to bring the situation that was very volatile, to bring it actually under control. We heard that President Cyril Ramaphosa last night actually conceded that the security cluster could have done better, and also actually confirming what people asked, why law officials are not on the ground, and the president then said that no one will be above the law. They are doing everything possible to bring those who's behind this mayhem, to bring them to justice. So businesses destroyed, hundreds of people out of jobs now, a crippling economy we are sitting in, and KwaZulu-Natal, we know, is the second contributor to the South African economy, contributing 16.7% to the GDP. We also heard last night the president confirming that more than 200 people lost their lives during this mayhem that transpired here in KwaZulu-Natal and then also in Gauteng.
You know, one of the reasons I'm happy that you're on the ground in KwaZulu-Natal, other than that you're a great reporter, is that you bring some fresh perspective. Why? Because you've experienced now this period of unrest in the Northern Cape. How does it compare to what you've seen on your screens in KwaZulu-Natal and what you're currently experiencing now? Because you've been traveling around for the better part of the morning. What's the feeling on the ground, Reginald?
Blaine, I must tell you, in 2018, when the protest there in Kimberley, when it broke out, infrastructure was destroyed, and up until today, we are still sitting that side where they are trying to rebuild infrastructure, and it cost millions of rands. So even when people tried earlier this week to also do the same of what we've seen in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, community members said, no, we are not going to allow that again, because we need to have a reason to protest, but also we are not going to break down our own infrastructure, because the last time we saw there in Kimberley, people were complaining about service delivery, and they were saying they have reason to, but this time around they don't have reason to. We know that the violent protest that broke out in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, it was triggered by the release of former President Jacob Zuma from jail. And when I arrived here yesterday, Blaine, I couldn't see any South African National Defence Force on the streets, manning the streets. But what I saw, what was really interesting to me, was the fact that own community, the community members patrolling their own areas, even where I am staying. For me, it was somehow difficult to actually get access to the area, because they asked me where am I going to, why I'm there. So I told them I'm from the SABC and I'm here to report, and I had to show them my media card. So what I witnessed on television and what I'm seeing on the ground now, two different pictures, because the situation now is relatively calm, because we were promised that the situation will be brought under control.
You know what I'm going to do, Reginald? I'm going to just let you go for now, give you a chance to get your mic in front of the minister there, just to get a sense of what he's saying. So if that's okay with you, we'll come back to you in a short while.
Thank you very much, Blaine.
All right, Reginald Witbooi, live for us in Phoenix. We'll come back to him, hear what the Minister of Police has to say with regards to this interim committee that they are trying to put together in order to, put paid to any sort of tension in that area as well. Come back to Reginald Witbooi in a short while. Let's bring in Thabiso Sithole. Brother Sithole is live for us in Hammersdale. Look, it is clear now that the events of the past week were nothing but orchestrated attacks. These are not my words, these are the president's words. What does this mean on the ground? The Amazulu Football Club will be embarking on a cleanup operation at Umlazi megacity and KwaMashu shopping center. Just a few places that were hit by the violent looting that were experienced this week. Thabiso Sithole is live for us in Hammersdale. He will be going to those areas in a short while. But firstly, Brother Sithole, what have you been witnessing this morning there?
Yeah. Good morning, Blaine, and good morning to your viewers once again. And what Reginald, maybe just to touch on what Reginald just said, it's quite startling what you see once you at ground zero in many areas, in particular in KwaZulu-Natal, where we were staying as well, at the hotel where we stayed in after arriving from Johannesburg. We too had a difficult time getting access to our very own accommodation, because the people around the area are saying, but who are you? Where are you going? So it feels a bit surreal when you're there, because it's something we're not used to in South Africa. But the events of the past week, Blaine, the trickling effect are as follows. We are now in Hammersdale. We arrived here about an hour or so ago. Whilst driving into Hammersdale, we ran across a factory that is still smoldering. In fact, behind the camera, it's smoldering, and when I asked around what has happened, they say it burnt down on Monday. Now, this factory, it was a housing factory. It housed meat, protein, all sorts of meat, and when we got there, on the ground, pieces of wors, sausage, chicken feet, you could tell that people just went in and grabbed what they wanted. Now, what is the knock-on effect of that? We're now in Hammersdale, Mpumalanga, the township, just close to Cape Ridge. It's halfway between Durban and Pietermaritzburg. The basic necessities, things such as bread, are hard to find. In fact, it's become a case of take it or leave it, as we found out when we got here this morning.
The recent unrest has left the country's economy crippled. For 7 days, Gauteng and
All right, Thabiso, we queued up the wrong package. We'll try to re-queue it. You were talking about, just set it up, queue it up for us one more time, Thabiso, with regards to this essentials that we take for granted, bread, milk. Tell us about how vital this is now in where you are.
Yeah, well, just what you'll see in that clip, Blaine, we'll actually just unpack it totally. So on the left-hand side, I'll ask my colleague Gobani Blom to pan to it. There's actually a tuck shop here. Now, this tuck shop used to service just a bit. I think Hammersdale is one of the biggest townships in South Africa, or in KZN itself. That tuck shop was looted. Behind the camera as well, there's another tuck shop there. There's about 4 or 5 tuck shops that we ran across when we arrived here. what the problem has been is that because the people have looted it and because there's no access to getting the necessary goods now in these tuck shops or the corner stores, the fact that people cannot now walk to a store and buy bread, they have to go to the mall. Just down the road, as we drove in, the mall itself has been ransacked. So now people can't even go to that mall to go buy bread. Then what happens? They must now jump into a taxi and drive in a taxi to get to Durban to try and get bread. But will they get bread when they get to Durban? That's another question. It's a huge effect. And I think a lot of people, when you speak to them on the ground, and some of them don't want to speak on camera, they say they don't realize how bad it is until you have to wake up and you can't even get one egg, a boiled egg that you'd buy for R1 at any corner in a township. You cannot even get a boiled egg. And with that, Blaine, I think you've got the package ready. Let's take a look at it. In Hammersdale, Mpumalanga in particular township, just outside Durban. In fact, it's just on the opposite of Cato Ridge, and we've been speaking about the cleanup operation that has been going on so far as far as the country is concerned, but there are also the necessities that people need. So you ran across this gentleman who was selling bread, as you can see, and selling loaves of bread, which I think a lot of people would say you'd get for about 12 Rand, 15 Rand at the shops. But Nkule, the entrepreneur that he is, Nkule, we ran across you here in Hammarsdale. You're selling a commodity. This is possibly more expensive than gold right now. And since we've arrived, people have been coming and cleaning them up.
Yeah, kusukela nje ekseni abantu bayeza la izinkwa ziyaphela ziyashesha futhi ukuphela and namanje njengoba seyiphelile ngiyolanda ezinye futhi.
Uthi ngakubambezeli ngiyabona you got customers abala emva kwakho.
Esimhlophe. White. Sijani sodwa? Yeah, sodwa. 25 Rand. Okay. Umbabelela. 1.
As you can see, this man is really raking in the money. He's making the most of what has obviously been quite a tough situation. As we heard, loaves of bread are going for about 25 Rands a loaf of bread, and generally it's bread that you get for about 12 to 15 Rand at shops. But because of the scarcity of bread in shops, this gentleman and his brother, who's behind the camera right now speaking to my colleague Anda Ngonji, they've found a way to I don't want to say capitalize, but more so give back a commodity that these people need, the basic things such as bread. As Nkule is still speaking to us, Nkule, yeah, as you heard, the bread is run out and they're saying that they have to go get more bread. And I'm going to ask him one question and see what they've actually got more stock to get bread. As you can see, the money is exchanging hands. They're making somewhat of a profit. And according to the questions, when I asked them how much they buy the bread for, they say they buy it for about 15 Rand from the person who still has bread. And they're selling it for about 25 Rand. That means they're making around 10 Rands per loaf extra on the bread that they're selling. In fact, on the left-hand side of me, another gentleman has just rolled up. He's also asking if there's bread to be had, and obviously he's run out, and these gentlemen are going to move out. As you can see, more orders are coming through and they're saying they're going to get some more bread. I'm going to see, maybe you can speak to this gentleman who's here to buy bread. Bafowethu, Ntomdala, angazi mhlawumbe singabamba amabili amathathu nje. Inkinga esikhona manje emva kwe-looting leyenzakalile izinkwa sekho ungaphenduka baba.
Hayi kasibhedela manje ushubele. Semsebenzi njalo.
Nokho nasikakhulu baba. Kule, let's come back to you. Suqedile. Oh, I think maybe there's a guy who paid short. As you can see, a shrewd businessman he is, but I think just to get to the crux of the matter, these are the scenes that we're seeing throughout the province of KZN, where we saw mass looting, in particular the corner stores at neighborhoods such as these. In fact, on the right hand side, there's a tuck shop that is there. That tuck shop apparently was looted by the people of the very area, and this is where they actually went to go buy the simple thing that is now a 25 Rands loaf. They bought bread at those tuck shops, but they're no longer here because people looted. Gule, before I let you go, Bafu, business seems to be booming. You're done for the day, bread is out, you have to go get more.
Yeah, mfethu manje izinkwa ziyashesha kahle kahle, and izinkwa zikwi-demand ngoba abantu bayifuna kakhulukazi ekseni. Yabo nje isinkwa la ngisithenga ngo-20 Rand, mina bese ngiya kahle kahle ngigena u5 Rand because ngisidayisa u25 Rand. So na siyilanda le kude fanele siye khona manje and no petrol futhi uyinkinga yabo. so fanele siphuthume manje njengoba ziphela manje and abantu basayidinga.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll catch up with you a bit later and you'll sell us a loaf of bread, not at 25 rand though. That's going to have the Kule, they has to go pick up more bread, come back to Hammersdale in Mpumalanga in Hammersdale and just outside Cape Region, Durban, and get the business booming once again. But as we heard yesterday, the M3 toll has now since opened up as of yesterday afternoon. So hopefully people will unfortunately have to cut the bottom line of people like Nkule when breads start trickling into their stores. But the question is, will those shops be up and fixed in time for them to receive such things as bread, and that people can start buying a commodity like bread at a normal price?
All right, that was Thabiso Sithole there earlier on, giving us the situation on the ground.